boom. And we are long now. Stop loss below the last low and the target here just as high up there. All right, and take profit hit. Now this was a very, very quick setup. So on BitGet, with this small scalp trade, we made $190 profit. If you take a few of those trades every single day, this can quickly accumulate to a lot more. In this video, you will learn the best support and resistance trading strategy. Then I will show you as a bonus an even better variation with a higher win rate. Then I will show you 10 clean trade examples, then 10 ugly trade examples, and then also one trade example directly on BitGet. If this sounds good, please give this video a like and let's start. You have two options to trade the support and resistance trading strategy. Number one, you can trade it in a sideways market, or you can trade it in a trending market, because these are the only two market phases which are available. Most traders focus on trading this in a sideways market rather than a trending market. However, what most traders actually don't know is that this strategy works way better in a trending market as opposed to a sideways market. What is support and resistance? Support is nothing more than a support zone, like a price floor, where the price previously bounced off of. And the opposite is resistance, which is like a ceiling where also the price previously got rejected from. So think of this zone as a price floor and resistance zone as a price ceiling. This strategy is so simple, you only have to follow 3 simple steps. The first step is to correctly draw all the zones. Step number 2 is you have to wait. And number 3 is react. I will show you all 3 steps very slowly as a beginner. So first of all, you have to correctly draw all the zones. Now, the most important part is that you draw them every single time the exact same way, because otherwise you have no clear standard how you draw them, and then you cannot be consistent or measure your success. Step 1 is identify the highest swing point and the lowest swing point of one area. So for example, if we only consider this area right here, this here would be the highest swing point and this here would be the lowest swing point. Now, you simply use this zone tool right here. Just click on this little arrow here, then go down, select the rectangle, and then what you want to do is find the candle which is the highest. So for example here, this is the highest candle body. Start where the candle body is and also include the highest wick. However, if here was a wick which was higher, then you would also extend the zone a bit higher. In this case, the highest wick is right here. So this here would be our resistance zone. And down here, this would be our support zone. We will use this candle here because this one is a bit lower than this. So we start again from the lowest body close until the wick. If there was no bottom wick on the swing low, or if there was no top wick on the swing high, you would just simply look at the lowest candle size and just simply add about 20-25% of the entire candle size like this to get the correct thickness. Now in this case, we have a wick, so this here would be accurate and perfect. If you want to be very, very precise, essentially you have to draw a support and resistance on every single swing point. A swing point just simply is a low or a high where you have 2 small candles or 2 large candles in the opposite direction. For example, here we have a low, we have 1, 2 candles. This second candle is confirming this here as a swing low, which means based on our rule, we would also draw a support zone here. On the other hand, same here, we have a low, we have 1, 2 candles. The second candle is confirming this here as a support zone, which would be right here. Then also, this would be also a swing high. Why? Because we have a high, we have 1, 2 candles. This second candle is confirming this as a swing high. So also, you have to draw a resistance zone right here. However, in the beginning, to just keep it simple, only focus on the obvious levels. Later on, when you are more experienced, you can draw every single support and resistance zone. For now, just pick one area, pick the highest swing, the lowest swing, and draw the zone as I showed you right now. We successfully finished step 1, which is just simply correctly drawing the support and resistance zone. Now, number 2, we just simply have to wait until the price comes again, either to our resistance zone or until the price comes to our support zone. Depending on what will happen, then you will either take a trade or not take a trade. If you get a strong rejection of the resistance zone or a strong rejection of the support zone, then you take a trade. If, however, the price or the candle completely breaks through our resistance or support, or if they disrespect our zones, then we don't take a trade. If the price never reaches again our zone here or our zone here, then also you don't trade it. Now here comes the most important part. You have to have a very good awareness and experience of price action patterns. And for this, actually, I made a full video course, which you can watch later, right here on the top. And also I prepared a free guide for you, a free overview with all the top candlestick patterns and also many examples. So I will give this to you for free in the description. You can get it, you can get the PDF, you can print it out, and you can learn it and also practice with it so you become more and more aware and so you can identify all the patterns when they happen. Right here we have a handful of very strong price action confirmations. For example, we have a bullish engulfing. This would be relevant when we come to a support zone. Then the bearish ones, the bearish patterns, they are relevant when we come to a resistance zone. Why? Because we want to see a strong reaction. We want to see that the buyers and sellers are showing us that they are strongly reacting off this level into the other way. So for example, bullish engulfing, bearish engulfing are very good. 3-line strike also very good. Then we have hammer candle, shooting star, hangman, inverted hammer. We have dojis, tweezer bottom, very strong. Tweezer top also. They have to be exactly the same length. Also, morning star very good. Evening star, advancing wicks. If you want to know this in detail, make sure you watch the full video course on YouTube again, which I linked right here, because in this video, I don't want to focus too much time on this thing here. However, you can also download this, as I said, in the description. So now let's keep going. So in this scenario, for example, we come up to our resistance zone. What do we see? Number one, we see a touch. This wick right here is touching into our zone, which means we have to be prepared now. So now all we need is a bearish price action confirmation. For example, right here we can see we have a very strong 3-line strike. We have 1, 2, 3 bullish candles, followed by a big bearish candle, which is engulfing our last bullish candle. This is showing us that the sellers are strongly reacting off this level. Now this here is a valid trade entry. So for example, in this scenario, we would open a short position right after this bearish candle closed. We wait for the close, never enter while the candle is forming. Why? Because during the formation of the candle, you don't know exactly how the candle will look like. So always wait until the candle is closing to be safe. So the candle is closing, we enter with a market order right away. Our stop loss has to be above the wick or even safer, above the resistance zone. This here is our invalidation. If the price comes up here, most likely we will go higher and our trade thesis is invalidated. So here's our entry, here's our stop loss, and our target would be the bottom of the support zone, and ideally, in the best case scenario, you want at least a 1 to 2 risk reward. So for example here, we only have a 1 to 1.17, which is actually not that favorable. Ideally, let's say this pattern happened higher and our entry would be around right here. This would make our stop loss smaller and also our take profit zone would be larger, which would be a very good risk reward. So what I suggest you, if the distance between our support zone and resistance zone is very, very tight, I would not take a trade because this means that the risk reward for your trade would not be ideal. Now in this scenario, it would be all right because it is still like a 1 to 1, but ideally, like I said, focus on 1 to 1.5 or better 1 to 2. So here, for example, the setup is clean, but due to a not favorable risk reward, actually, we would not take this trade, and I would highlight this with an X, which means later on I can see that this is a missed opportunity, which is invalid. Now I will show you 5 clean trade setups, and then I will show you also 5 not ideal trade setups, which you should skip. Right here, we have 1 clean example and 1 not clean examples. For example, right here, we have a swing high. We have 1 candle, 2 candles. This second candle is confirming this is a swing high, which means we have to draw a resistance zone right here. Then we come down, we have 1 candle, 2 candles, 3 candles. Also, this confirms that this is a swing low, so we also have to draw a support zone here. Now we can see we come back to the exact same zone where we got rejected from. So what do we need now? We need now a price action confirmation that actually the sellers are rejecting this area. What do we have here? We have a bearish engulfing. This here is not the cleanest. Why? Because this bearish candle is almost the same size as this bullish candle. However, in the context of a double attempt right here, it would be still a semi-decent trade entry and still valid. So in this trade, we would come down almost to our take profit target, then come back into our drawdown zone, and then finally hit take profit right here. This here would be an invalid example. Why? Because here the reaction is not so strong. Here we have almost a 3-line strike. However, the bearish candle is essentially the same size as the bullish candle. This is also known as a piano engulfing because this resembles like a piano key. So this here would be a skip, and also here classical skip. Why? Because here, this bearish candle is completely disrespecting our support zone. We want to see a reaction from the zone or inside the zone. the moment a candle completely cuts in through the zone, or when it almost cuts completely through, this means it's disrespecting it. In this case, we would skip. So here, valid, skip, skip. Here we have two more examples. Here we have a swing low, which creates the support zone. Here we have a swing high created by this swing here. So we have a high established, we have a low established. We come back down, we come back up into our resistance zone. And what do we see? We see an evening star with a gravestone doji and also a shooting star doji with retracing wicks. This will be also a very valid entry. So here we would enter a short trade right after this candle closes. Stop loss again above our resistance zone, and we would target the lowest point of our zone. This would give us a very nice 2.25 risk reward, meaning if we risk $100, we would make $225, which is a very good risk reward. Here, for example, we have a bearish engulfing. However, we are not touching our support zone here. Yes, you could say that here we also have a support zone. However, the issue in this scenario is if we were to enter a long trade right here, our risk reward would be very bad. Why? Because our target would be our resistance zone up here, and we would only get a 1-to-2 risk reward ratio. And like I said, ideally, you want to target minimum 1-to-5 or 1-to-2 in the best case scenario. So this here would be invalid, and this here would be valid. Here we have two more bad trade examples, which you should never take. For example, right here, we have a support zone right here. We come down, we have a hangman candle. Here we have a 3-line strike. We have 1, 2, 3 bearish candles, followed by a bullish engulfing. And as you can see, if we were to enter a long trade here, we would not even get a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, which is very, very bad. Because once this pattern is closing, we are in the middle. Ideally, you want to take long trades on the bottom part of the support zone and short trades on the top part of the resistance. So this here is not a favorable risk reward, which means it's a skip. Also, we can see right here, we come up, we have a bearish engulfing. However, this candle here completely disrespects our zone. This candle is completely cutting through our zone. You only want a touch into it with a wick, or in the middle of it, or on the lower part on the resistance, or on the lower part on the support. If the candle completely closes through your zone, this means the sellers or the buyers showed you that they don't respect this zone. In this case, you don't take a trade. That's why this here is a skip, and this here would be also a skip because of risk reward is bad. Here we have a very clean example. This swing low creates support zone. This swing high creates this resistance zone. We come back to our support zone. What do we see? We see a perfect, picture perfect morning star. Bearish candle, dragonfly doji, and big bullish candle. Again, enter, stop loss below the wick, below the lowest wick, and also your target is the highest wick of the resistance. This would give us a 1.6 risk reward, which is quite decent. And as we can see, we come up, we come down, and we come up again. And this is a profitable trade and a very clean trade example. Another clean example, we have a support zone, we have a resistance zone, swing high, we come down, we come up, we have an evening star, picture perfect, bullish candle, shooting star, and bearish candle with small bottom wick. Enter, stop loss, target. Here we have a very nice 2.78 risk reward, which is actually very, very good. Now this here is a picture perfect banger trade setup. Why? Because we can see here, we have a swing high with resistance. We have a swing low with support. And then we come up to resistance completely uninterrupted, which means in this up move, there are no counter candles, which means once we come into our resistance and we see a clean 3-line strike, 1, 2, 3 strike, the chance of a swing back is very, very high, because before there was no counter swing, which means once we get a strong reaction here, the sellers most likely will take over because the buyers are exhausted. Our entry is after our 3-line strike candle. This is our confirmation candle. This is our entry candle. Stop loss is above the resistance zone, and our target is the bottom wick of the support zone. Also, to be safer, you could also just target the lower body of it or the middle part. I always like to target the wicks because this is where the most liquidity is laying. So right here we can see we come down, we come up a bit again, and then we come down, and this would be a 4-to-3 risk reward ratio, which is a very, very favorable risk reward ratio. If you can catch many of these trades, you will be very, very profitable and consistent. Here, for example, we have a confirmed loss because losses are completely normal based on any trading setup, no matter how good the rules are. So for example, here is our support zone. Here we can see a somewhat clean morning star. The top wick is a bit too long for my liking, but it is still sort of valid. So if you were to enter here with stop loss below the support zone, you could get a 1-to-3.7 risk reward ratio by targeting this last swing low. Here we also have a very long uninterrupted down move, and we have lots of space to the resistance for a potential long setup. But as we can see here, the price immediately goes down and we get stopped out. However, that's exactly why it's important to always trade trades where the setup is at least a 1 to 1.5 or 1 to 2 risk reward, which means you will always make more money on the winning trades as opposed to the losing trades. This means that you can lose the majority of your trades and still be profitable in the end. If you only take trades where you have minimum a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio, as we can see right here, you can actually lose 60% of all of your trades, aka you only have to win 4 out of 10 trades right here, and you will be still in a profit. Now I will show you an even better version to trade support and resistance, which has a way higher win rate. In this version, you first want to wait until a resistance or a support zone gets broken. Broken just simply means that the majority of a candle body is closing above a resistance or that the majority of a candle is closing below a support. So here, for example, we have a break. The moment a resistance zone or a support zone gets broken, it essentially becomes the opposite, just like a double-sided trampoline. So for example, this resistance zone, once broken, becomes a potential support zone later on. Or on the other hand, a potential support zone, when broken, becomes potentially a resistance when you revisit the exact same zone. So step 1 is you want to wait until a zone is broken, and then you want to wait until the price comes back to the exact same zone. The setup is the same. You want to see a very strong price action confirmation that in fact the buyers are taking over here and that you will get a bounce in your desired direction. So for example, here we have a resistance, here we have a support. This big candle is completely disrespecting and breaking our resistance. So now we have to wait. We have to wait now until the price comes back to our resistance, which could be potential support. As we can see here, we come down. We have here a dragonfly doji, a small hammer candle, and a big bullish engulfing. So in this scenario, we have strong confirmation. And as we can see, no candle is closing below our zone. This means that the people are respecting this zone and they are buying up every single time we try to go below. This means the buyers are stronger in this case and are maintaining control. This is confirmed with this bullish engulfing. In this case, we would enter a long trade after the close of this candle. Stop loss would be below the lowest wick, just to be safe right here, because this here would be our invalidation of our trade. So this here would be perfect, and we would target again the highest wick of the last high. So essentially, this is a trend continuation pattern, okay? You wait for a break, and then you wait for a retest. Now in this scenario, it would be a 1 to 5 risk reward ratio, which is still decent. However, a 1 to 2 would be better. So this here would be a very clean trade. It is a valid trade, and also it's a win, which means we mark it with a green circle. Break even, I always mark with a white circle, and a loss with a red circle. There are only 3 scenarios that you have to be ready for. The first scenario is that we will get a strong reaction, like here. In this case, you will take a trade. If the price completely disrespects the zone, aka completely cuts through our zone, this would be invalid, in which case you would not take any trade. Or another scenario, the price could go on without revisiting your zone. So for example, we break out and we just go up, 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 up. And if you have no touch or if you have no revisit of your zone, then also you take no trade. So the only important part is first, wait for the break. Next, draw the zone correctly and keep it there. And then wait what will happen once the price comes back again. And this here is the moment that you have to be on alert and ready for any scenario. Now I will show you 5 clean examples, and then I will show you 5 not clean examples. Here, for example, we have a support zone. This candle and this candle completely disrespects and breaks through our zone, which means now we wait until the price comes back into our zone. And as we can see here, we have no touch. No touch, no trade. So this here is a clear skip. This is our next example. Here we have a resistance zone, which gets broken with this candle. We come up, we come back down. However, 2 big problems. First problem, this candle disrespects our zone. Why? Because we close below our zone. And number 2, this bullish engulfing is very, very bad. Why? Because the top wick is very, very long, which means the main dominance of this candle is actually bearish because the sellers push the price down as we tried getting up. So this here is a skip. Here we have another medium clean example. Here we have a swing high with a resistance. This big candle is breaking our resistance. We come back to the same zone. We have a hanging man candle and followed by a hammer candle with an advancing wick, aka this wick is higher. This shows us that the buyers are ready to kick in even earlier. This shows very strong bullish momentum. So in this scenario, we would enter right after the hammer candle. Stop loss would be below the lowest wick, and we would target the last swing high. This would also give us a very clean 2.8 risk reward, which is a very favorable risk reward. And as you can see, we are staying inside the zone. We are only wicking below, but we are not closing below. Also, we are staying within the upper half of the zone. This is also very good. The moment a candle cuts in very deep, aka past the equilibrium, aka the medium part of the zone, this would also show us that the zone is actually not that respected, in which case I would not take the trade. But in this scenario, it is clean, it is valid, so this would be a valid winning trade. This is a very good bad example for both variations. In the scenario of trading a support trade, you would come down, you would have a bullish engulfing 3-line strike right here. But as you can see, we are first disrespecting completely our zone. So this here would be an invalid support resistance trade. If we trade, however, the second variation, where we first wait for the break, which in this case, this candle is breaking the zone, we come back into resistance, but as you can see here, this zone is completely disrespected as potential resistance. Why? Because as we broke through, we completely come through and we come up. If you can see that the price action is disrespecting your zone, you just simply take no trade. So this here would be a double rejection for both setups in this scenario here. Here's our next example. This candle breaks our resistance. We come up, we come down, but this big candle is completely disrespecting and cutting through our zone, which means this zone is no longer valid, which means we don't take any trade. Here we have a very clean trade setup. First, we have a double support with one bounce, second bounce. We break it with these 3 candles. We come down, we come back up to retest this support, which now after break could be resistance, just like a double-sided trampoline. So now we wait for a price action confirmation. We come up, we have a strong inverted hammer candle, wicking in, but not closing above. We have a small doji, indecision doji, and we have a big bearish candle. This also is a semi-decent evening star in combination with an inverted hammer. This is a very good trade setup, and also our risk reward is decent because our next support zone is right here, which means if we enter after this candle with stop loss above the wick and targeting the bottom wick right here, we would get a very decent 1.7 risk reward ratio, which is a win and also a confirmed valid trade setup. Here we have another very clean trade example. We have a support zone which gets broken. We come back to our support zone, which could be resistance. We have a very clean 3-line strike, 1, 2, 3 strike with a very big shooting star, which is a very, very bearish version of a 3-line strike. Enter right after candle close, stop loss above the wick, and we target the bottom wick of the support zone. We can see here, this is a solid 1.76 risk reward. And as we can see, if you look closely, we have another second potential trade entry of our resistance zone, which here got confirmed as resistance. We come up, we have a 3-line strike, 1, 2, 3 strike with a smaller shooting star, but still valid. So here also, this will be your second entry if you missed the first one. Enter here. Stop loss above the highest wick right here to be safe, because this is the highest rejection point. So to be safe, we have to be above that for our stop loss. And again, target is right here on the bottom of it, of the lowest part of the wicks. This would be an even better risk reward of a 2.26 risk reward. So here we would have 2 back-to-back winning trades, which are valid based on the exact rules which are outlined. Here we have an invalid trade setup. We have a resistance zone which gets broken. We come up. We come back down to our zone. This big candle is completely cutting through our zone, which means it's no longer valid, which means we don't take any trade. Here we have another very clean example. We have here a support zone, which gets broken. We come back up to our support zone, which now could be resistance. We have a strong 3-line strike. We have 1, 2, 3 bullish candles, followed by a big bearish candle. Now, the only imperfection here is that the bottom wick of the 3-line strike is a bit long. However, this imperfection gets completely overpowered by the fact that we have 3 retracing wicks here, which means the top wicks get lower and lower and lower. This shows us that the sellers are getting stronger and stronger, and that the buyers are getting weaker and weaker and get rejected earlier. So here, this will be still valid because of this reason. 3-line strike plus retracing wicks. Enter here, stop loss above our wicks, and target will be the bottom wicks right here. And this would give us also a semi-decent 1.5 risk-reward ratio. And this will be also a straight W win. Now I will show you a trade example directly on BitGet. If you want to support the channel and also have an unfair advantage in trading, you can go in the description and use my link to make an account on BitGet. And you get an exclusive 30% discount on trading fees. And also you support the channel because part of the trading fees, which normally go to the exchange, go to me. So it's a win-win for everyone who's supporting me, who made their account with my link, who's actively trading there, will get access to a free exclusive video course on Discord with the 2 best, highest win rate scalping strategies with many trade examples and also many trade reviews. Again, only for those who are supporting me, who made their account with my link and who are actively trading there. So stay tuned, and now let's get into the trade. We are right now here on Shiba. On the 1-minute chart, we have here a resistance zone. This resistance zone, after breaking out, becomes potential support. Now we are just waiting for a strong, clean rejection, and then we are doing a long trade. Already here, I have my window on BitGet, and that is it. Boom. And we are long now. Stop loss goes below the bottom wick here, and our target will be the last high. Stop loss below the last low, and the target here just as high up there. I will show you now the risk reward on TradingView. Ideally, we always want to have a 1 to 2 risk reward. So in this case, we have here a very, very proper 1 to 3 risk reward, which is very, very good. All right, and take profit hit. Now this was a very, very quick setup. Now we will do a trade review, and then I will give you 3 very important tips. As you can see, we are right now on Shiba, which is a very popular, very good coin to trade on BitGet. And we have here a resistance zone. This first swing created the resistance zone. We came up, we came down. Resistance zone established. We came down, we came up, first rejection. Here, second rejection. And this candle broke the resistance zone. Every single resistance zone, once broken, becomes potential support, just like a double-sided trampoline. So once this zone was broken, I was waiting for a retest, aka waiting until the price comes at or into the zone. This hammer candle was the first reaction from the zone, which is a hangman candle, which shows you already that many buyers are absorbing most of the selling pressures of the sellers, because sellers pushed the price down and the buyers immediately came in the zone and pushed the price up. The next candle, also very bullish, hammer candle, and this is actually a very special pattern, which is called advancing wicks. This is one of the strongest, most powerful candlestick patterns with the highest consistency rate. Because this pattern is so strong, I will actually make a separate video about this, because people in the Discord group have been killing it with this, just this simple pattern. So, we got a hangman candle, we got a hammer candle, we got advancing wicks, which means the second wick is higher than the first one. This shows momentum on the buyer side, because the buyers reject the pressure even earlier than before. This is really a perfect entry. As you can see, we just came in the zone, we came in the zone again, enter, stop loss, target. The risk reward is amazing. We have a 1 to 3.3 risk reward, which means we made 3.3 the amount that we risked. Anything above 1 to 2 is ideal. So this here is a very, very good setup. And as you can see, our target got hit very, very quickly. So on BitGet, with this small scalp trade, we made $190 profit. Now, this is not a lot, but if you take a few of those trades every single day, this can quickly accumulate to a lot more. And this is also the main purpose of scalp trading, which is to catch quick wins in and out. Many, many small wins, not one big, massive trade. And the beauty is also, this trade was so fast. We literally entered just right here, and the trade was finished 2 minutes later. Now, this is what I call time efficiency. So now I will give you 3 very important tips. Tip number 1, as you can see, I have 4 coins at the same time in my overview. Here I have Shiba, which is where we took the trade. And I have also here Dogecoin, Pepe, and also HBAR. The main benefit of having multiple coins in the overview is you get many, many setups fast. Like this, you should get about 2 to 5 setups per hour if you look at multiple coins. However, in the beginning, and this is tip number 1, I recommend you only focus on 1 coin, maximum 2 coins. Why? Because otherwise you might be confused, you might jump forth and back too quickly, then you miss a setup, then you get even more stressed. So that's why in the beginning, just focus on 1 coin, maybe 2 coins, and just focus on a clean setup and also be patient. And this leads me to tip number 2, which is start with little money. If you start with too much money, then you might get too stressed when you lose a trade, or when you make money, you get too greedy. So start with a small amount and practice first until you're confident and you get some experience, and until you are consistent yourself. Then you can slowly scale your position size and also your risk per trade. Tip number 3, which is the most important thing, always take a screenshot after you're done with the trade. So for example, in this scenario, I will take a screenshot of this trade right here, and you should review and analyze what you did well and also what you can do better. And also, after you took a screenshot of your trade, you can also post it in the VIP Discord community. You can post it in the setup idea rooms, and you can also get feedback from me and also all the other VP traders. And you also get lots of free resources, like for example, the candlestick pattern sheet, and also many other helpful videos and other things. So if you want this, you can join the Discord group also in the description. Like I said, it's free, and and you get feedback and support always from me and also many other experienced traders who are trading this setup every single day. Because the fact is, you need experience and you have to practice this, and that's why you have to get in the feedback loop of taking trades, learning, take a trade, learn, and also get better with every single trade. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. I will read every single comment and I will help you with all my heart. Thank you very much for your awesome support. I would appreciate if you give this video also a like, make sure to subscribe, hit the ring bell, and stay tuned for the next video, because the next video will be a banger. So stay tuned. Thanks again. I will see you in the next video, and peace.